Normal America show. Um, Man, I'm having some troubles here. I wanted to do it landscape format, but it's not letting me. So here I am. Just give me a second here. Obviously, don't have a computer. So my plan is to stream a little before the debate here, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and then later tonight after the debate. So late tonight, but I had some downtime here, so I thought I'd do a little about the debate, couple other things going on, maybe worth talking about. Sorry again for the poor image quality. Everything's going against me here. Computer not working, having stream on the phone, the sun having to be at the exact angle where it's gonna screw up the video that I have anyways. And then the landscape format not working. Oh well, away we go. So hope everyone's had a great week. I've had a good week. I'm always try to be upbeat, but it's been a busy work week. Nothing like terrible or anything. Just that time of year where there's a lot of auditing, paperwork, and what have, trying to get things in order in that station. And then I also don't feel well. Nothing like a terrible illness or anything, but just I don't know, tired and I don't know, just like feel like a head cold. Nothing serious, but yeah. And then some other news that may be of interest to you all. I have an MRI scheduled later in the week. Yippee! So I don't know. Tried doing physical therapy, exercises and stuff for a long time for the back. Doesn't seem to be progressing. So now we're gonna go to the next stage with an MRI. Hopefully after that, then I'll get into a specialist and hopefully we get some positive news. But it's been a real pain to even get into this MRI. It's like I've probably made 15 phone calls, being on hold for probably on average 10 minutes per call. Sucked, but we got her done. A little post 5 p.m. coffee. How about that? Try to wake myself up a little for this debate. Thanks, Big Bird. Appreciate it. But I hope you're all doing well. Galil, Imaginarium, Big Bird. It's great to see you all. Familiar faces. It's nice. So we'll stall a little to get people in, then we'll talk about my predictions for the debate, what I would do if I was Trump, what if I would do if I was Kamala Harris, how I expect the moderation to go, all good stuff like that. By the way, Big Bird, quick question to you. Do you still work, this is going to sound weird to everyone else. How do I put this vaguely? At one point you told me that you did some sort of charity donations that had to do with your artwork. Do you still do that? I know there was a specific thing that you mentioned. Oh, you don't? I wondered. You know what? I actually, because that sort of is in line with my line of work and working with people with developmental disabilities. I mentioned, obviously not you by name, but I mentioned at my office meeting the other day when they were talking about charitable works in our field, and I mentioned that, and everyone thought it was a really cool idea. So it's well appreciated. It really is. And I thought that was one of the coolest stories I heard, you working like that. So kudos to you. Thanks, Czar. Appreciate it. Really do. Yeah, we'll talk about, so as we're killing time here waiting for people to come in, and then we'll talk about the debate. We'll talk about some lefties here. It is not tea. This is late night coffee. I'll be honest with you all, though. I'm weak. I'm a weak man. You'll see. Thursday, you all hate me when I'm debating Jim Bob on the 19th Amendment, which, by the way, I haven't even thought about. I've been so busy at work, and then the only thing politics I've thought, I think you could even see it on my X account. Normally, I'm posting stuff to X. I've posted a couple reposts. That's it. I've just been brutally busy, and I've had people hit me up, which thank you to those that hit me up with questions, comments. Yeah, energy bills, they're higher than usual, but they've been high in the past too. Not this bad though. Um. Anyways, oh, you're one of those people, Kyle. I have a friend of mine, a close friend, that won't watch any Pittsburgh sports games because he's a Pittsburgh fan, and so he's afraid that he'll jinx them. But then my comments like, well, why even be a fan then? Right? Like, you can be a fan that can never watch the games. But I get the superstitious. Anyways, what were we talking about? Yeah, so we'll talk about the Pirates. You don't like Bob Nutting? Come on. Uh, let's talk about a video I did in the past that came up today. So, do y'all remember when I was on Aircraft Sparky's panel? But we'll get there one second. I was talking about, I've just been so busy. So, I have this stream I'll do tonight, and then after the debate, hopefully I get some time. Though that's work willing. I have downtime off the clock right now. It's the only reason I can do this. And then after work, maybe I'll have some time off the clock or after the debate. Then Thursday, I have the debate on the 19th Amendment, which I've done zero preparation for. I think I'm just going to wing it, which is probably not good because Jim Bob's a really smart guy and I think a capable debater. So I sort of know the arguments they're going to say. Basically, I'm afraid to say that's sort of a feels debate. I don't know how much data there is to look at. I don't think you should be excluded from voting for being a woman or for other immutable characteristics. That's just me. We'll talk about the morality of that position, and then we'll also talk about the pragmatism of advocating for that position. That's my strategy. And then Friday, I'm on Dylan Burns' show. It'll be me and Andrew Wilson and the Turk and Gibbs against I'm Really Important, Pisco, Hutch, and Not So Erudite. Who's better positioned for the future to run the country for the future, Kamala or Trump or some shit like that? And I'm not going to play their game of, oh, that's a different question than who should we elect. If they try to get into that, I'm just going to laugh at them and be like, yeah, it's amateur hour. I don't give a shit. So I'm interpreting as who should we vote for? That's how I'm interpreting that topic. Because I assume you vote for the person you think would be better for the country. So, anyways, I haven't really been following up on much because of my work schedule and stuff. I swear to you, I'm going to start doing more content as we get closer to the election. I am planning my 24-hour stream. If you're new to the channel, every major election year, the even years, I do right near election day. I'll do a 24-hour stream. It's usually the weekend before. And I've got Congress people and other big guests on. So hopefully got some irons in the fire trying to get some guests lined up for that. So that should be a good show. All right. So one of the people I'll be debating Friday is Hutch. Hutch is I don't know. He's got a reasonable audience. I think he's been streaming for a while. I put him like right on the same plane as Pondering Politics, if you know him, formerly Ruminate, where they're okay. They're not the worst debaters or anything, but they're not good. Like I think Pisco's a good debater. I don't think Hutch or Pondering's that's good. Except Pondering seems likable. Hutch, for whatever reason, doesn't come off as very likable to me. But that's okay. Maybe I'm an a-hole and Hutch is a really likable guy. I don't care. Just calling balls and strikes. Anywho, to set the scene here before we get into the debate and my expectations, the other day I'm doing a live stream and then I'm killing time until Aircraft Sparky comes on. I don't want to say killing time because actually I had planned, that was one of the rare nights where I actually had a good idea for what I wanted to do for the stream. I had something important to talk about, but then I had promised Aircraft Sparky that I would stream with him at 10 p.m. So it was, or 9 p.m. It's late. So it was unusual for me because normally if I'm streaming with someone, it's like 6, 7, or 8 p.m. So I ended up doing a show before the show. We were talking about the Gold Star families in Arlington, whose 13 soldiers, the family of the 13 soldiers that died at Abbey Gate with the disastrous Afghanistan pullout, and of course how Kamala Harris and the mainstream media, which is basically just propagandists for the Kamala Harris campaign, was flipping out that Trump broke the rules in Arlington. He broke the rules. He broke the rules. Oh my goodness, he broke the rules. And so what I did was I played the audio from, I believe, the 8 family members that had spoken out after Kamala Harris put out about how she respects the families of the fallen soldiers and Trump doesn't. And all of them just talked about what trash Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were. They never reached out to them, etc. And I was making the point, the thrust of the point I was making is these people will stand on some procedural and say, oh, technically what Trump did was against the rules, which it remains to be seen if that was or not. But that's what they'll rely on. And they'll go, this proof he doesn't care about the families of these soldiers. Meanwhile, at the very event that they're talking about, those families are like, no, we invited him here. And regardless of what you think about Trump, who we think's done great for us, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are garbage. And I said, the media and Kamala Harris will do everything possible to ignore what these family members said. And clearly, even if you think Trump broke the rules and that's not good, but you have the right to think that, clearly what Kamala Harris did, politicizing that while ignoring the very families that she's talking about, seems to be worse. So that was my point. And I said, they'll ignore this. And then this streamer, Hutch, calls in. And I was like, look, I only got like 30 minutes because I got to do Aircraft Sparky show, but sure, go for it. And I had said, now keep in mind, the whole point of my show was how left-wing streamers, media people, Kamala Harris herself, how they were ignoring these particular families and politicizing like, oh, Trump doesn't care about these families because of these rules. And so Hutch comes on, and the very first question I asked was, have you tweeted about, mentioned on your show, anything about the statements from these Gold Star families? Even if you're like, you don't think that justifies what Trump did, clearly what they're saying Kamala Harris didn't do is worse, right? Or at least bad. You'll condemn that, right? And he's like, nah, I haven't mentioned it. And I'll admit, I'm a little heated. I'm like, my pitch is a little high. It's nothing that unusual, particularly when I'm in a time crunch and someone's stalling for time. What Hutch wanted to do is exactly what I was saying going into that show. It's called control of the narrative. And so they'll take something that they don't give a shit. Like, take an easy example. They'll be like, well, what would Jesus do? Jesus would welcome the immigrants. Now, they don't care at all what Jesus would do. They don't care. Most of them aren't Christian. But they know you are. They don't live by the same standards as you. And so they'll use your standards against you and say, but you have to be held to this set of standards. We don't have to. We operate outside of that on the left. And so this story, which is really bad for Democrats, which is these family members of these fallen soldiers being outraged, not only that Kamala Harris they blame for what happened to their children, then Kamala Harris never bothered to contact them or even mention them. Then Kamala Harris put a statement out denigrating Trump from going and talking to these families and being at this event with these families. And so they actually came out and gave these statements. They would ignore that totally. They don't care. They'll talk about other random people that aren't involved and say, well, they're outraged. They're outraged. Trump's really bad. That's what they'll do. They'll set up panel. If you're a lefty, they'll set up panels where they control the topic. It's constantly this. And constantly Republicans fall into this trap, or populists or libertarians, whatever, where they end up talking about what these establishment Democrats set as the narrative. So that's the narrative. Did Trump break the rules at Arlington? Well, my whole purpose of the show was, how about we talk about what these families want instead of deflecting towards. So what's Hutch come on and do? 100% through his performance proves my exact argument. Comes on, I said, did you talk about these families? No, I just want to talk about the rules at Arlington. Why haven't you talked about these families? I'm not interested. Well, let's talk about what they're saying. And he literally says, yeah, whatever I have to say to move on to what I want to talk about. You see? So my show is, people like Hutch and the Democrats and Kamala Harris will not listen to what these families are saying. Instead, they'll take the event, not some random other event, this event that these families were involved with. They'll take that, ignore those families, ignore how they're saying what Harris did was way worse, and instead focus on this little role and say, this proves Trump doesn't like the soldiers and their families. So what's he do? He comes in. He actually says, yeah, I said, will you concede? Will you concede that you don't care what these families say? He said, yeah, whatever I have to do to move what I want to talk about. That's literally proving my point. Literally proving my point. Thanks so much, Zunum. $5. If you get a chance, watch the Chris Williamson and Eric Weinstein podcast. I'd like to hear my thoughts. I will try to do that. So that's what he comes on and does. Makes a fool of himself. Okay, whatever. Week goes by. Hutch posts the video today on X, and of course doesn't tag me. And this is something that Hutch does quite often. He'll post about me without tagging me. Because in addition to just being a hypocrite and standing on the not caring about what these Gold Star families think, he is a coward. He is. Now, I understand sometimes this happens once in a while, but it's a pattern with Hutch and a lot of people on that side. The shady ways that people like Pisco, Hutch, etc., that are in this little grouping together use X is ridiculous. Now, I don't care. It doesn't make them the most immoral people in the world. They can do what they want. I'm not saying their X account should be paid. I'm not saying any of that. More power to them. But I know why he doesn't tag me. But one of his followers that agreed with him tagged me, so then I ended up stumbling onto the video. And basically all Hutch had to say about it was, Rob yells. Rob yells in this video. I did yell. That's fine. Because he was constantly trying to interrupt, filibuster, was refusing to answer questions. It's my show. If it was with a moderator, perhaps things would have went differently. He called into my show when I had like 30 minutes. That's it. So, yeah, it is what it is. I responded back to him. I put the video up on X of mine. Now, one of the problems is Hutch has 300,000 followers. I have like 7,000 on X. So clearly, anytime he posts something, I'm going to get ratioed. I don't really give a shit. Though, I will say, there is one thing that I find unusual. Now, I can't bring it up because I'm on the phone. And I'm not blaming Hutch for this. It could be totally out of his control. But Hutch puts up his video, and it maybe gets 100 likes or something. And then I put up a response, and it got like 40 likes. Whatever. And then people were going at me. But I also reposted just about like, look how Hutch doesn't tag me. That's something he does. And Hutch responds to that with just a meme that says like, cry harder. It wasn't particularly funny or anything. I'm not upset about it. It's like, okay, whatever. That post had over 1,000 likes. And it had like 10,000, like I just happened to see this before I came on, had like 10 or 11,000 impressions, so 11,000 people had seen it, and 1,000 people had liked it. And that's what I thought. It seems very bot-like. Now, I could see if it was like a sick burn, or if it was like a video that he made, but that's what I'm puzzled by. Like, when you compare, if I'm a fan of Hutch's, I'm more likely to like the video he puts up than I am in the response to me, one meme. I just thought, I was like, okay, interesting. Now, maybe there's other accounts that bought. Maybe he was streaming and said, hey, everyone, go like this. But you can check it out if you go. It's if you just go to my X feed and go to my interactions today, you'll see it. I was just like, wow. I don't know anyone who gets 10% of their impressions are likes. So there you go. It was but maybe not. Maybe Hutch just has a very loyal fan base. If so, more power to him. I don't wish any ill towards Hutch. I think he's a crappy lefty. I think he knows that he looked really bad when you're resorted to, but Rob yelled. Cool. And then, of course, all the responses are, Rob GPT, Rob uses AI, which warms my heart every time I see it. Couldn't be a greater admission of the cope of destiny and his fans. It's good stuff. All right, let's talk about the debate tonight. So, how to do this? First, let's talk about what my strategizing would be on either side of this debate. So, I think if I'm Kamala Harris, now I'm biased. Let me be honest. I clearly want Trump to do better. But that doesn't mean I'm incapable of understanding when the other side does something good or could have a good debate performance, or incapable of strategizing what would be an effective performance for that side. So, I'll try my best to do that. But one of my bias will be, I think the moderators will far worse. I was actually pleasantly surprised in the Trump Biden debate, though I suspect that maybe those moderators wanted to usher Biden along, so maybe they were a little more unbiased in sort of their presentation. I suspect tonight that you will see the moderators interrupt Trump far more times and claim to be fact checking while they allow Kamala to say whatever. I think that that's going to be something that's going to occur. So we'll get to the prediction after show. I'm bearing the lead. Don't you know you tease people? So you guys stick along till the end. So given that, I think that it's Kamala's debate to lose, actually, because I think the moderators will ask questions that are more pointed towards Trump. I think they will cover for Kamala Harris. And I think that she only has to come across as sort of not falling on her face like Joe Biden, because the heavy lifting is always done after the debate. Now, first off, how important will this debate be? Well, there's two ways of looking at it. On one hand, I don't think it's going to be that important unless someone blows up in their face like, Joe Biden did. I don't think it'll be that important because I don't think that this debate, I think most people have their minds made up, and those that don't have their minds made up, I think this debate's far enough out that when it comes to actually casting a ballot, it'll have very little effect. Again, barring something crazy happening. So I don't think that it's going to have. Now, I do think that there's a chance that this debate could be very impactful, though, in a different sense. And that is, if Kamala Harris does not perform to the point well enough where the people that are really running the Democratic Party, the ones that forced Joe Biden out, like what she did, they don't think that she set them up. I think, as Vivek Ramaswamy was saying last night, it will up the intensity of what they're going to do as far as scandals, as far as who knows what sort of corruption, attacks, etc., that they will feel desperate enough to do if Kamala Harris doesn't perform to their expectations tonight. I think that without getting too crazy conspiratorial, but trust me, nothing's off the table, I think that replacing Tim Walz could be a possibility to get the news cycle on their side. I think that, hypothetically, if she does poor enough, they could replace her. But that would be a far stretch. I think there are better plans. But the Tim Walz thing, I think, possibly doable to get rid of Walz and put someone else in. All of a sudden, all those Democrats that are yelling about, RFK can't come off the ballot, that's undemocratic, they would be like, yeah, switch the ballots, now that we have a different VP. Anyways, so that's the importance of the debate. If I'm instructing Kamala Harris, I think that the important thing in debates like this is to always have a theme. You have to have a theme. That's one theme that goes through each topic you talk about, and then about 3 topics that you think that you really want to stick to, that theme runs through. And I think the theme for Kamala Harris needs to be the corruption and authoritarianism of Donald Trump. That's what her theme needs to be. And I think that she needs to talk about how so many people surrounding Trump hated him and won't work with him anymore, how he's a threat to democracy, how he was just shooting from the hip and was just like a boss that no one wanted to deal with and ended up having disastrous policies with things like COVID. I think that, and how he wants to control women's bodies. Now, you might be saying, those things aren't persuasive to you, but they are persuasive to the Democratic base. And I think with that theme, you could parlay that into things that would be interesting to independents or people that haven't made up their mind. So, for example, abortion, clearly that's easy to see. But when it comes to economic endeavors, you could say, actually, Trump spent insane amounts of money, and when he left, the economy was in a very poor position. When it comes to foreign policy, you could say, actually, Trump was quite the authoritarian, And it was only because of our allies and strong leadership and people that were actually in these agencies that were stopping Trump from doing his worst impulses that things didn't fall apart internationally more. And that it would be more of the same in the second administration. Except this time, he doesn't have the rosy economic outlook that he inherited for Barack Obama. Couldn't the same be applied to Kamala? Well, yeah, but I'm helping Kamala right now. I'm saying what her team should be telling her. And I think she needs to talk about, and she will talk about, how Trump is not a likable guy. He's been convicted of felonies, 37 felonies. He tried to overturn an election. He has been convicted of sexual assault. That's what she needs to do. And I think then what she needs to do, her challenge is, and this is something to look out for, she has to separate herself from both the radical extreme things she said in the past, like Green New Deal, open border type stuff, getting rid of private insurance, defunding the police, getting rid of cash bail. She has to distance herself from that and distance herself from the bad parts of the Biden administration. And I think the way she does that is by being on the attack the entire time, deflecting to being on the attack against Donald Trump. Kamala, under you were said to be one of the point people on the border, but under your administration with Joe Biden, border crossings were seen at levels that we haven't seen almost historically ever in this country. Why should the American people trust that if you're elected president, it'll be different this time? Actually, we've done a lot in the border. Donald Trump actually put us in a bad position with his mishandling of COVID, his disaster foreign policy that provided the incentive for so many people to come here. So yes, we've been trying to stymie that flow from Donald Trump, who tried to roll because he's incapable of getting Congress to compromise on anything. He tried to roll through executive fiat and it failed miserably. But we've now got a handle on it and there's no reason to see that it wouldn't be better going forward. Trump, however, sabotaged legislative efforts, blah, 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 blah. So give a small flippant answer to defend yourself and then attack Trump. That's the strategy for her. Always be on offense. Don't talk about the record. Don't talk about the specifics because she doesn't have them. She doesn't have the specifics. So just don't talk about them. That would be my advice to Kamala Harris. So she has to be on the offensive, talk about Trump being an authoritarian, wants to be against women's rights, spent a lot, felon, anti-democratic. That's the strategy. And that's what she'll be doing. And I think she'll try to get a viral moment. And that viral moment will probably be, I'm guessing, have to do with her being a prosecutor and Trump being a felon, or her being a woman and Trump being found liable for sexual assault. That's what I anticipate will be. Remind me of that question of Trump on abortion. So that's what my strategy would be if I'm instructing Kamala Harris. Don't get rattled by him. And then if he makes jokes or something like that, just simply be like, look, this is the type of guy we're talking about. Convicted felon. He doesn't have he's not a serious person. He's not. He's just sit here and joke around on the national debate stage. Serious issues affecting this country. I will not be streaming the debate tonight. I don't do that. I find it to be worthless. When I'm watching the debate, I want to watch the debate, not hear some fat commentator like me talking over the debater. So I'll watch the debate off stream and then I'll come back on afterwards. The debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct? I anticipate it'll go till close to 11. So hopefully I'll be streaming after that. Trump's theme needs to be tying Kamala Harris to the Biden administration and her disastrous left-wing policies. That is what his theme needs to be. He needs to call them out for the debt rising, the massive spending, the authoritarianism, the open border, the insane inflation, the disastrous foreign policy. That's where his focus needs to be. He should not fall. It's okay if he has one or two quips that are kind of funny, but he should not fall into the trap of having to rely on his personality. Trump's personality got him a long way. His humorous debate performances in 2016 probably won him the primary, and maybe did a good bit to help him win the general election. But all of that's baked into the cake right now. I don't think if he has a funny joke like the Rosie O'Donnell joke in the previous 2016 debate, that all of a sudden there's voters that are on the cusp that are going to be like, you know what? That was a funny joke, I'm going to vote for Trump. Those people that would vote for Trump based on something like that, they're already voting for Trump. Trump has the advantage of the facts being on his side. The economy sucks. Foreign policy sucks. The border sucks. Kamala Harris not only has ran on that, or was part of this administration, and let's be honest, would have had to have been one of the top people in the administration, seeing as how Biden has cognitive decline. He's not running the show. He spent 40% of his presidency on vacation. Kamala Harris constantly saying on major decisions she was the last person in the room. So she owns it. And the only difference is from what the Biden-Harris administration is to her of things she was saying running for the presidency last time in 2020 is more unpopular extreme positions, like defunding the police, getting rid of cash bail, having separate laws for Black Americans than white Americans, electric vehicle mandates, getting rid of private insurance, taxing unrealized capital gains. He needs to hammer on the fact that it is actually the Democrats that are the threat to democracy. Kamala Harris did not win one vote in the primary. Instead, her, or more aptly, the people running her that are also running Biden, lied to the American people, including Kamala Harris, about Joe Biden's mental health. And then once he became the de facto nominee, they threatened him and ushered him out, thereby installing Kamala Harris. And the reason that they installed her was because they know she's an empty suit that will do whatever they tell her. She'll be for force busing one day and against force busing the next day. She's for electric vehicle mandates one day, she's against them the next day. She won't even do adversarial press conferences or interviews with the press other than one. That's all she did. That was pre-taped. 18 minutes. She hasn't explained why she now has a different position, if she even does, than all of these radical positions. Heck, even her policy prescriptions on her website, which she just put up yesterday, are just a copy and paste from the Biden administration. It's real simple for Trump. Hey, America, do you like the flood of immigrants that are coming in? Do you like not being able to afford gas or groceries? That's her. So much so that it's her, she's just copying and pasting her agenda from the Biden administration. She's phoning it in. They're trying to install her. And now they're trying to censor people online. This election's about coming together with people that were good people formerly on the left, like Robert Kennedy, to protect our kids, to make them healthy, to have free and open debate, and to end censorship online, and to have a system where politicians are actually held accountable instead of unelected bureaucrats that run the show from behind the curtains. And that's what a Kamala Harris presidency represents. More inflation, more open borders, more unaccountability. The will of the American people does not matter. That should be the theme of Donald Trump. Now, on the issues that'll be his weak suit, can he contain himself and stay focused on the issues? Because remember, the issues are what matters tonight. That messaging, if he could stay on that message, what he doesn't want to do is give a viral moment where, and this will happen anyways, it doesn't matter what he does. The media is going to spin it as he's a misogynist, he's racist. They're going to spin it that way. But he doesn't want to provide fuel for that fire. Now hopefully that's what he's been working on. Now, what's difficult for Trump, it's his greatest strength, also his greatest weakness, He's free-flowing. He is who he is. He is the football player that's giving the answer in the press conference that you always wanted. Everyone always complains after sporting competitions. Oh, when they interview the athletes, they always give cliched answers. Oh, it was a team effort. We're taking things one game at a time, you know. But when you actually get someone that's like, yeah, it sucked. Our team sucked today. Our receiver dropped that ball. He should have been in training camp. Everyone's like, oh, you can't say that. That's the appeal of Donald Trump. He's off prompter. Sometimes it's his greatest adversary. He could shoot himself in the foot. But Kamala Harris has to be so nervous right now. For Trump, it's just another one of a huge debate that he's doing, where the deck's stacked against him, where the moderators are against him, where he knows that 95% of the press coverage afterwards, before he says one word, is going to say he got crushed. He's used to it. So, on abortion specifically, I think Trump should say, listen, it should be a states' rights issue. I'm not going to push for any national legislation. I think it should be left up to the states. If there's going to be national legislation, it should be in the form of an amendment. I think it's a difficult issue. I myself, if I'm speaking for Trump, if I'm Trump, I myself personally am very pro-life. I think, though, that there is a limit. I'm like for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, somewhere like that is what I believe. After that, it should be only for rare circumstances, such as health of the child, mother, etc., other tragic circumstances. The Democrats want 9-month abortions on demand. That's what they want. They celebrate this. They constantly push through legislation, plans that would say abortions at any time for any reasons. And that's grotesque. But ultimately, I think it should be up to the will of the people. I understand Democrats don't believe that. Democrats don't believe, Kamala Harris doesn't believe in democracy. She doesn't believe in democracy. They'll say I'm a threat to democracy. Yet not one person voted for her in the primary. They lied to the people because they don't trust the people. Democracy is about trusting the will of the people. The Democrats, Kamala Harris, chief amongst them, lied to you all about Joe Biden's mental health. And if it wasn't for the debate that you saw with your own eyes, they would have continued lying. And everyone here at ABC and at the other major networks, they would have continued that lie. It was only when the people saw the emperor had no clothes. That's not democracy. So it sounds weird to them when I say we should leave it up to the will of the people in the states, what they want with abortion. They don't understand democratic initiatives like that. That's what I would say. So that's any specific questions. Thanks so much, Landon. Appreciate the $10. Some of the best analysis. Keep it up. Thank you. That's what, now, if I ever got in one of these debates, I would crush it. But that's what I do. I do debate. But staying on that message, Democrats, Trump is unifying with great Democrats that believe in things like the health of our children, free speech, not just being a blank check for the military-industrial complex, fiscal responsibility. We're going to cut the corruption and waste like never seen before. The Democrats lied to you, Kamala Harris chief amongst them, about Joe Biden's mental health. Their administration was terrible. They lied to you about all this stuff. They're going to keep telling you how great the economy is, and then months afterwards, all the data will fall back. Oh, actually, we have to lower expectations. You know. Ask yourself, Kamala Harris is the Biden-Harris administration. Are you better off today affording groceries than when I was in office? That's it. You've seen what I could do. Yes, we had an unprecedented pandemic. I don't think I operated perfectly, but I did the best I could. What did the Biden-Harris administration do? Nothing. Continued the plans I had already set forth when they came into office. and then proceeded to have things like the Inflation Reduction Act that was basically just the Green New Deal that caused you to pay more when you go pump gas and when you go buy groceries. And they lied to you all the while saying, there's no problem, the economy's the greatest it's ever been. There's no border crisis, everything's great. It was a lie. And that's what you'll get from them. That's what I would do. Predictions for said debate. It's tough. I think the safest prediction that I have, and I do believe this though, I don't think the debate will move the needle much either way. I think it'll be close. It's not going to be a blowout like it was with Biden. I think that it'll be close enough that people on the Trump side of things will say Trump did pretty good, and people on the Harris side of things will say it's the best debate performance that's ever happened. That's what the propagandist media do all the time. You will see Van Jones and others with tears in their eyes after this debate saying they were so proud. They've never been so proud to be an American. It was a message of unity. She did great, blah, blah, blah. I think that the moderation will be not quite as bad as Chris Wallace level previously, but it'll be bad. There'll be a lot of questions about Trump's legal woes. There'll be far more pointed questions to Donald Trump. The moderation, I think, I'm predicting will be quite bad tonight. Ultimately, I do not think Trump will do as good as many as his supporters are saying. I think that he did okay in his debate with Biden. Now you might say, but that was the greatest debate victory in presidential politics, in modern presidential politics. Yeah, it was, because that's how bad Joe Biden was. Trump did okay. He didn't have any huge unforced errors, but he could have spiked the ball. Now, maybe his plan was to not spike the ball because he didn't want them to drop Joe Biden. But I don't think that he will have like a flawless performance or anything. I think that he'll get dragged into the election was stolen from me. He'll get dragged into talking about his rape case a lot. He'll probably say something dumb. If I was going to force myself on a woman, it wouldn't have been someone as ugly as her. Something like that. That's my prediction. He shouldn't do that. When they bring up the sexual assault case, he should just say, listen, this was paid for by Democratic operatives to a woman that shouldn't be believed, that didn't have specific details, and a he said, she said thing. The whole system was unfair. And it's just being done to smear me politically because they know that their ideas are undefensible. They cannot run on their record, so they had to run on lawfare. That's it. And so that should be his answer. It's not true. The allegations aren't true. It was lawfare. It was he said, she said. She didn't have any proof. It's terrible that we're weaponizing lawfare because they can't defend their record. But ultimately, I'm predicting that Kamala Harris does slightly better than Trump tonight. That's what I'm predicting. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. I think it'll be close. But that's my prediction. And so, after the debate, I will come on and I'll give my honest opinion on how I felt it went. And so if I'm saying, look, I think Kamala did better than Trump, everyone that's going to want to spike the ball on me and say, oh, you were saying that Trump was going to crush it in the debate. I didn't say that. I didn't find me one post saying that. I thought that the entire time when they were talking about Trump, if for whatever reason, something happens tonight and the power goes, I don't even know what city they're in, but the power goes off and they're just unable to do the debate and then they're unable to reschedule it. I ultimately think that slightly favors Trump because I think the debate could do him far more harm than good at this point. So that's how I feel about this debate. But we'll see. We'll see. They're in Philly? Okay. My state. But the other side of the state, the crappy part. Thanks, John. Yeah, with YouTube, or when I'm streaming from my phone, I don't have my music, though. Has she agreed to a second debate? I don't think she has, right? This is it. If she does really well in the debate, there's no shot. Oh, she has agreed to. Is that true? I was unaware of that. Oh, an NBC debate. She didn't agree to the Fox one, though, huh? That's funny. Not that Fox would be any better. Remember Chris Wallace? I don't know. I think if she does really well, they would find a reason to get out of the second debate. But I was unaware of that. That shows how much I've been following things. I didn't know that she had agreed to a second. And Trump's team agreed to that as well, then? Okay. The 24th, huh? Yeah, but the people won't care that it's not. Remember, like, the moderators are always in the bag for the Democratic candidate. Remember when Donna Brazile was giving the questions to Hillary Clinton? Now, the only downside, I will say this, I've yet to be impressed with Kamala Harris in a debate. So I think let me put it this way. I think her top level, her ceiling is mediocre in debate. Now, let me be clear, if you're a Kamala Harris fan for whatever reason, let me convince you not to be later, but that's not everything. Like, so what? You can be the best president in the world and not be a great debater. As long as you're getting your ideas out there in a cogent way, you can make up for that in other ways. The debates are only of marginal importance. I happen to like them because I did debate in college and I enjoy them. And I do think for some people they matter a lot, but not the majority of people. But I just don't think that I'm trying to be very polite here. I don't think she has the type of mind that's good for a adversarial back and forth in a setting like a debate. I don't think she's good at that. I think she could give emotional teleprompter speeches, not as good as Obama, but in a similar vein. You know, if Obama was a 95 at giving an emotional teleprompter speech, she's like an 85 or an 80, which is passable. It's okay, better than average. But when off the prompter, she is not good. She's not likable. She's repetitious, word salad, and she's an empty vessel. She really is. And so that puts her ceiling to me like at a 5 to a 6 out of 10. Her basement, it's not going to be like if Joe Biden was a 0, her basement's like a 2, which she could do. She'll be anywhere from a 2 to a 5. Trump's ceiling on a debate could be like an 8.5 to a 9. But his floor could be like a 2. It can. He's got a great range. He could knock it out of the park, or he could get off on a tangent and come across as very unlikable. I think that Kamala will give like a 4 or a 5, and Trump will give like a 3 to a 4. That's my prediction. So I don't think either side's going to do great tonight, but I think that Kamala will edge out. I don't know that will move the needle nationally that much. Hell, that might even be better for Trump, because maybe some of the more radical things that the Democrats would want to do to ensure Trump doesn't win, maybe if they think that Kamala Harris did good in the debate. Yeah, and the moderators will cover up a lot of warts as well. They could, Mr. Trump, we've moved on to that topic. We have another question for you. Mr. Trump, you're not answering this specific question. Mr. President, you're not answering this specific question. That type of thing. So that's my prediction. All I can do, now I have a bias, so I will come on after the debate. I'll be streaming on YouTube. I'm not going to stream during it. I will stream after the debate. I will be posting on X during the debate. So I'll put some post up, and maybe I'll try to keep some notes, because normally what I do is I post my thoughts in a stream of consciousness during these debates on X, and then I stream and I just look at my post and it reminds me of these moments in the debate. But because I'll be streaming from my phone, if I post on X, I won't have any way to see that. So maybe I'll take some notes as well. I don't know. But I don't plan on streaming all night afterwards, maybe half an hour to an hour maximum. I'll probably start 10 to 15 minutes after the debate. So I'll give the best honest opinions I can, but I'll be upfront that my bias is for Donald Trump. And as much as I'll try to rein that bias in, it will affect, if Trump really gives a 3 out of 10, maybe I'll think he was a 4 out of 10. If Kamala really gives a 5 out of 10, maybe I'll think she gave a 4 out of 10. But I know I can't eliminate my bias, but I will try to objectively analyze the debate as best as possible, and what my impressions were. So that's it. What do you all think? What's your all's predictions? Does anyone think Trump's going to knock it out of the park? Or Kamala's going to knock it out of the park? Are there anyone on either side of that think that one side's going to really crush the others? My work laptop is not even here at this point. It's being repaired as we speak, but I don't think the repairs are going to help. But theoretically, if it was here, I could use, Word. You think Trump will do better than he did with Biden? Hypothetically, that could be true, but it's still not going to be to the level that he beat Biden, because Trump's victory over Biden was only because Biden gave the worst debate performance on the national stage that I've ever seen. Yeah, Aftershock, you're absolutely right. Remember, it's not who votes, it's who counts the votes. It's not who debates, it's who interprets the debate. Most people aren't going to watch this debate. Most undecided voters aren't going to watch this debate. What they're going to see is clips from the debate, and they're going to see people telling them how the debate went. So if let's say that Aftershock and I have a debate, right? And the debate is on, just think of something stupid. Like, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? And the debate ends, and I put a poll, and 99% of the people say Rob won. It wouldn't matter if behind the scenes I tell Aftershock, actually, you crushed me. I thought you crushed me. I thought you won that debate easily. Because most people's perceptions will be influenced by, wow, pretty much everyone that saw that debate said that Rob won. Now, 95% of the people that watched that debate are going to be supporters of mine because it was only on my channel. So, through manipulation of the algorithm, someone Googles, how'd the debate go tomorrow? If Google's manipulating algorithms to push forth articles that say Kamala Harris crushed it, that influences. So, Aftershock's absolutely right that the expectations for her are very low, so she just has to not fall flat in her face. That's the other thing. Trump needs to stay away from the personal attacks as much as possible. He shouldn't be bringing up a race. I wouldn't even bring up the fact that she laughs. I would just be like, she's an empty vessel. She doesn't even know what her positions are. Bernie Sanders said it the other day. She has to pretend and lie to you that she's not as extreme as what she claimed the last time she was running. That's why she won't sit down for many interviews. That's why she refused the Fox News debate. Yeah, maybe my audience will tell me when I lose debates. You have a chance this Thursday. I have a feeling the majority of my audience is going to be predispositioned to Jim Bob's side. Landon, thank you so much for $10. I agree with you. Trump v. Biden only won because Biden was so bad. Trump wasn't great. Do you think Trump's more moderate tone recently will help with this debate? YouTube hasn't been notifying of any of my lives. Well, YouTube sucks, of course. Of course they're not going to notify you. I hope so. I hope that Trump's team was telling him over and over and over again, look, the rambunctious, fiery Trump that won the 2016 primary and did great in these debates, everybody knows that guy now. That's not your audience. Your audience is people that maybe think, again, this is the same thing I said going into the Joe Biden debate. 40% of the people are voting Trump no matter what. 40% are voting Kamala no matter what. That's obviously an oversimplification. What about those 20%? To me, the bulk of those 20% are thinking something like this. Listen, if I was just picking on, was the country better during the majority of the Trump years or the Harris-Biden years? I say Trump. The economy was better, border was better, foreign policy was better. But Trump's an unlikable a-hole who might be a threat to democracy. That's it. Can you pinch your nose disliking Trump's foibles? Well, he does some shady stuff and he seems to be an adulterous person and he's not very presidential. Vibes. That's right. Which is funny because they've all but admitted that's what Kamala Harris is running on. It's vibes. And so given that, it's like Trump, you can't give ammunition to the you being an unlikable person. It's okay to attack Kamala Harris, attack her on her record, attack her on the fact she covered up for Joe Biden's decline, attack her on her flip-flopping. But you don't need to be like, well, is she Jamaican or black? Oh, look at the way she laughs. You don't need to do that. That doesn't help. Yeah, it'll help with the Dilly Mean team and Cat Turd and a bunch of, people that were already going to vote for Trump that are going to be high-fiving. Does that move the needle at all for any of that 20%? At all? Now, there are ways to do it. You could be like, make a coconut tree. So, sounds like she fell out of the coconut tree. Something like that. It's a quick line or whatever. Or he could do, I think a funny moment could be him doing, I'm speaking. Like he could do that once. I think that would be funny if he preempts that. I think sort of him going after the moderators a little is a good idea. One institution just put out, they looked at ABC's coverage of Kamala and of Trump since Kamala announced she was running, since she was hand selected as the nominee. 100% of their personalities, their newscasters, 100% of the time it's been positive or neutral stories about Kamala Harris. 95% of the time it's been negative about Trump. Yeah, that's a great line, Aftershock. Remember my years should be Trump slime, and Kamala wants you to forget her years. Forget what she ran on in 2020. Forget how bad she's been. Yeah, I'm speaking. I think that would be a funny line. Of course she'll attack him personally. That's fine. He should just be like, look, that's fine. Of course she's going to attack me personally. She can't defend her record. She doesn't even know what her policies are. She's just going to go back to the people running the Biden administration and say, what are my policies again? That's what she's going to do. And trust me, if their internal polling suggests they need to do a 180 tomorrow, they will. They don't care. They don't believe anything they're telling you. Remember, her and her team are the same ones that told you that Joe Biden was the smartest guy, that he was sharp as a tack behind the scenes, nothing cognitively wrong, and the border was totally secure. That's Trump. I'd try to shake her hand. Let her seem petty. Let her make the personal attacks. Let her seem petty. That's not offense for Trump. She's never going to, those undecided voters are never going to think, well, they might. Kamala's so unlikable. Here's the other thing to think. Like, people that say, boy, if they would have just picked Ron DeSantis, wow, this would be a runaway election. Let me be clear. I wanted Vivek Ramaswamy. I wanted Ron DeSantis. Trump was my third pick. Just so we're clear on that. I'm happy with Trump, though. Don't get me wrong. As far as the usual crop of people before Trump that we got. But make no mistake, it was always going to be a tight election, no matter who the Republicans picked. They don't care. It would have been, look what they did to J.D. Vance. They would have came after DeSantis. There would have been stories, people coming out of the woodwork, accusing of sexual assault, and blah, 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 blah. The scandals were always going to be scandals. The ballot harvesting was always going to be the ballot harvesting. The media was always going to be the media. The manipulation of the algorithms was always going to be manipulated. That stuff's all there. But imagine how much better like a Josh Shapiro would be doing right now than Kamala Harris. I mean, I'm telling you that Trump's entire strategy should be, let's look at the records. Let's look at my term versus the Harris-Biden term. Let's look at how she covered up for Joe Biden's cognitive decline. If they had someone like Josh Shapiro that was seen as more moderate than Kamala Harris, that could say, oh, I'm not connected to the Biden administration. I'm running Pennsylvania. It's been decent. They didn't pick him because he's Jewish. Robert Kennedy would have probably won the primary if Biden wasn't in it, if they were honest about Biden. Or they would have coalesced around someone like a Pete Buttigieg is more likely what would have happened. Buttigieg would do far better than Kamala. They just don't care. They don't care about the will of the voter. They don't give a shit at all. So, but Trump really needs, I think that's another thing that Trump needs to bring up, RFK. He needs to. I would even, at some point, I would say, I want to speak to RFK supporters. I want to speak to you right now. I understand traditionally why you didn't like the Republican Party. I get you not liking the Dick Cheneys of the world. The parties have realigned. Your concerns about ideas such as free speech, healthy food, accountability, those things that made you support RFK will all be in my administration, and he'll be right there to hold my feet to the fire to make sure of it. The warmongers, they're all Democrats now. There may have been stories you heard about me that you didn't like. And I'm not going to say that I'm a perfect person. But just like you heard them smear a great man in RFK over and over and over again, that's what they've done to me. So I know you might have heard that I'm going to be very fearful and authoritarian. I will not be. I will be held accountable by great people like RFK as this realignment occurs. And we have a party that is answerable to the American people and cares about their health and cares about their pocketbook and cares about their rights. And then we have a party of neocon, neolib warmongers that are answerable to the wealthiest people that don't give two hoots about people like those in Palestine, Ohio, or people like those in Springfield, Ohio, or people in Chicago or Detroit that have been made promises by Democrats over and over again. And yet, the Democrats are more concerned with sending out checks and housing to illegal immigrants than actually taking care of their own constituents that they've made promises to over and over again. Those are the types of lines that Trump should have been practicing. Will he do it? I don't know. But that's what I'm hopeful to see. All right. We're going to end here. I got some work to do here. The debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, I will not be streaming the debate. As soon as the debate's over, YouTube exclusive. Come on to YouTube. I'll be streaming. It'll be a late stream. We'll probably go an hour or so. Talk about what I thought about the debate, the ins and outs, the goods, the bads. Or you could go watch one of these other terrible React streamers. I'm just kidding. You watch who you like. But I do appreciate you all. Very humbled. I just want to apologize again. Listen, in a different world, if I was 30 and not 40, if I was newly married instead of being married for 10 years, if I didn't have a son right now, maybe I'd take a chance on streaming full time. Maybe I would. As is, I screwed around an awful lot in college. I have no one to blame but myself. I got a job that doesn't pay that much money that I happen to love. And so I work a ton of hours, and it makes it near impossible to be consistent, to drive up a big audience that I would like. It also affects my debate preparation, my research skills, which is sad because I think I was very good at it, and it's been a bit of a bummer to not be able to research like I once was able to. Now, I get by on having to have the facts on my side and being a very good debater and being handsome and likable and all that good stuff. But I do apologize. I think you as an audience deserve someone who could put more time in it than I am. So I'm very humbled that without the consistency that so many of you continue to watch, and I've continued to grow, even with the inconsistent performances that I've had. So who knows, maybe, at some point there'll be some sort of, I would always wanted to do a radio show, or I'd love to work for someone like Glenn, like at The Blaze, or something like that, Glenn Beck, where I could make a career out of this. But as is right now, it is what it just take the Russian money, right? Why not, right? Nah. Everything by the book. My conscience is more important than the money, so not selling out, not doing anything illegal. But I do thank you all. I really do. It means a lot. I mean, just to do a little mobile phone stream tonight and have 140 people watching at one point, for me, that's a big accomplishment, and it really means a lot to me. So I thank you guys a lot. And I know some of you that watch don't agree with a lot of what I say. And you think that, you're hate watching me because you're a Destiny fan or a Hutch fan or a Pisco fan or whatever. That's cool, too. Thank you for being here. So, believe it or not, some of those people I actually get along with quite well behind the scenes. So, it's okay. So, hey, one of my favorite quotes from Steve Rinella, pessimistic with my mind, optimistic with my feet. So, I'm thinking Kamala will slightly eke out a debate victory over Trump tonight. Neither will be that great. But let's hope I'm wrong. Let's hope I'm wrong. And it would be nice to have Trump have someone like me that was prepping him to spike the ball. And then we could have another night of watching left-wing streamers cope about the debate tomorrow. So, all right, be back here after the debate. YouTube exclusive. Thank you all so much. We'll talk to you soon. As always, have a good one. Thanks for all the kind words, too.